Hello yogis, welcome to my channel. My name is Krista and thank you for joining me for day 2 of this Spring into Yoga challenge. For today's class, we are going to be doing a full body flexibility flow. I won't be guiding the use of any props throughout this class, but if you know you need them in your practice, please leave them beside your mat just in arm's reach. And just a reminder, for every class that I post here on my channel, and even for this yoga challenge, I do have a playlist linked down below if you do have a Spotify account. So let's get started today in a reclined butterfly pose. So come to lie all the way onto your back. Bring the soles of the feet together and allow your knees to fall open. And play with the placement of your feet. So heels closer to the pelvis is going to feel different in the hips than if you keep them further apart. So for me, I like them a little bit closer. And then the hands can just come either on top of the belly or find cactus arms. Close down your eyes. We'll just take a few moments to settle into our body, into our breath, and just notice how we're feeling today. Notice as if you lengthen each inhale and each exhale, it brings a sense of calmness into the body and into the mind. And I want you to meet yourself on your mat exactly where you are right now, holding no expectation of how your practice should look or how your poses should look. Just be present with where you are and love your body for wherever it is in this moment. And take a loving breath in through your nose. Open mouth, let it go. Now bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs and gently close your legs up like a book. Place the soles of the feet onto your mat. Start to guide that right knee in towards the chest. Interlace your fingers on top of the shin or behind the thigh. Option to stay here or extend the left leg onto your mat. And with this stretch here, I want you to think of really pulling that right knee towards the top of your mat and reaching the left toes towards the bottom of your mat. Last breath here. Bring the sole of the left foot onto your mat. Reach for the big toe of your right foot or the inside or outside edge of the foot. We're going to find half happy baby. So the sole of the foot comes pointed up towards the ceiling and the right knee drops down towards the floor. Again, you can keep that left leg bent or extend. Gently release that right foot, cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Take your arms out into that cactus or into that T shape, and then lower both knees down towards the right, coming into that figure 4 stretch or that figure 4 twist. Takes a couple deep breaths here. And with your next inhale, draw your knees back to center, uncross the legs. We'll switch sides. Draw that left knee in towards the chest. Interlace the fingers on top of the thigh or the shin. Option to stay here or extend your right leg. Keep actively reaching the right toes to the bottom of your mat and the left knee towards the top of your mat so you find a more active stretch. Keep breathing. Option to keep that leg extended or bend the right leg, bringing the sole of the foot flat. Half happy baby on the left side. And again, if you can't reach the foot, feel free to reach for the back of the knee. Really waking up through our hamstring a little bit here. And then release that left foot, cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Open up the arms into whatever position that feels best for you. And then lower your knees down to the left. Yeah, breathe into this twist. Come back through center. Uncross the legs. And we're going to meet in downward facing dog. So however you need to get there, you can rock up to a seat to start. Place your hands onto the mat. And then tuck your toes and send your hips up and back to make this upside down V shape with the body. Take some time to pedal out the feet, to shake out the legs. Really exploring movement in this first downward facing dog. Bring your big toes to touch. Inhale, lift your left leg high into the air, three-legged down dog. And then exhale, bring your knee into your chest, shift your weight forward, and then step that foot between the hands. Shuffle your foot forward if it's not quite there. Bring your back knee down onto the floor, untuck the toes. Come onto the fingertips and make sure your knee is stacked over your ankle here. And I want you to think of sending your hips forward, lifting up through the crown of the head and lifting your chest forward. Just finding a nice stretch in through the front of that right hip crease. Breathe here. Now tuck the back toes under. We're going to start to send our hips back. Walk your hands back as you straighten through your front leg. Finding a half splits here. And it's okay to keep a little bit of a bend in that front leg if it makes it more comfortable for you. Keep a nice neutral spine. And if you're able to get that leg completely straight, I want you to think of engaging that right quadricep, because that's going to help protect the flexibility that we're creating here. It's going to make our body feel safe. And then start to shift your weight forward, coming back into that lunge. Reach the chest forward. Nice deep breaths. And exhale, come back to that half splits. Shift your weight forward, come back to that lunge. This time, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. Leave your right hand down onto the mat. Start to reach your left fingertips up towards the sky for a revolve lunge. Keep squeezing that left knee in towards the chest. Last breath here. And then drop that left hand down to the inside of that left foot. Pivot the back heel down. And then walk your hands to the middle of the long edge of your mat. And then point both toes, or both feet, to the long edge of your mat, coming into this wide-legged fold. And then from here, keeping your hands onto the mat, just start to shift your weight side to side. So bend one knee, shift your weight more so into that leg. Feel that stretch in the inner thigh. Inhale, come up through center, wide-legged fold. Exhale, bend the opposite knee. Beautiful. And just keep moving with that a few times. Maybe as you approach that side lunge each time, it feels a little bit more open, a little different. Beautiful. Come back up to center, and then exhale, just release the head down for a wide-legged forward fold. Think of shifting your weight a little bit more forward, and ideally you want to get your hips over your heels. So you don't want to go too far forward where you'll fall forward, but equalizing the weight in the feet, more so to the middle. And again, with this wide-legged forward fold, keep the quadriceps engaged so your legs stay active here. Inhale, come up halfway. And then point the toes out, heels come in. Bend the knees, walk your hands onto the thighs. Here, we're gonna find a little bit of a twist in this goddess pose. So take a big breath here, start to drop that left shoulder down in front and reach that right shoulder back behind you. Think of squeezing that right shoulder blade together. Inhale, come up through center, we'll switch sides. This time, right shoulder dips down. Look over your left shoulder. Inhale, come up. Exhale, switch. Beautiful. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, come up through center. Hands in front. Inhale, straighten the legs. Squeeze the bum at the top. Reach the arms up. Exhale, hands onto your hips. Let's step to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, pivot from your hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands onto your mat. Step back, downward facing dog. And we're gonna do that on the other side. I'm just gonna switch my position just so that I can always be facing you guys. And with the next inhale, bring the big toes to touch. Reach the right leg up into the air. Exhale, bring the knee in towards the chest. Step it between the palms. Lower your back knee down. Untuck your toes. Inhale here, sink the hips forward. Reach the heart, reach the chest forward. Finding a nice opening in through your back leg. And then exhale, start to shift your hips back. Option to tuck your back toes under. And then straighten through your front leg. One side might feel a little bit different than the other. Nice neutral spine. Breathe. Option to play with pointing or flexing the foot. Notice what feels better in your body. And then walk the hands forward, coming back into that lunge. Sink a little bit deeper. And then exhale, shift your hips back, straighten through your front leg. Last breath here. Walk the hands forward. This time, tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee. Keep that left hand onto the earth. Send your right fingertips up towards the sky. Revolve lunge. Keep breathing. And then drop that right hand to the inside of the right foot. Pivot the back heel down. Walk your hands to the center as you pivot both toes towards the long edge of your mat. Keeping up with a flat back for this next part, I'm just going to invite you to maybe point your toes slightly on a diagonal. This feels better in my body, but you can play with what feels good for you. So as you start to shift side to side, so shift towards that left leg, come back through center, and then shift towards the right. Beautiful. The next time you find that left side, come to your depth. So even if that means that you come onto the heel, or the heel lifts a little bit off your mat, that's okay. If it's okay, keep the foot flat or start to roll the toes up towards the sky. Yeah, from here, option to just stay as you are, or take the right hand and reach it up. Finding a little bit of a twist here. Yeah. Drop that hand down, pivot the right toes in, come back up to that wide-legged fold, and then we'll switch sides. This time lunging into that right leg. Again, it's okay if that heel comes off the ground. And again, you can roll onto the heel of that straight leg. Option to stay here, or left arm reaches up and open. Beautiful. Come back down. Pivot the foot down, come back, wide-legged forward fold. This time, release the head, release the neck, the arms. Option to reach for your ankles here. Breathe. Hands onto the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Pivot the heels in, toes out. Walk your hands on top of the thighs. Coming into goddess pose. And we're going to play with goddess pose a little bit differently here. We're going to play with coming in and out of goddess pose, transitioning into our warrior one. So arms reach out in line with the shoulders, nice and straight, nice and strong. Start to sweep that right arm down in front, straighten through that back leg, heel stays down, front leg stays bent. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. It doesn't have to look perfect, just keep moving. Then start to sweep that right arm forward and down. Back heel points in, toes point out, goddess. Straighten through that back leg, back arm reaches down in front. Inhale, reach. Exhale, back heel in, toes out, goddess. Keep it nice and low. Keep it moving, keep it flowing. Really moving our body. Exploring all the ways it can move. Beautiful. Come back through center. Straighten through the legs, hands onto the hips. Let's step to the top of your mat. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to a downward facing dog. Ripple yourself forward, coming into plank. Option to bend the knees or stay into plank. We're just going to lower all the way onto the belly. Untuck your toes. Keep the tops of the feet glued onto the mat. And just reach your hands about mat width apart or wider. And then start to press into the hands. Think of rolling the pelvis into the floor. Engage your back muscles as you lift the chest. Slight engagement of the glutes. Play with placing your hands further away or closer towards the body. Closer to the body is going to make this back bend a little bit more intense. So breathe. Shoulders keep reaching down away from the ears. Last breath. Exhale, roll the spine down. Bring the hands underneath the chest and then push your hips back. Bring your big toes to touch, knees at a comfortable distance apart. Let's find child's pose. Sink the chest down, forehead onto the mat, arms reach forward. Send some nice loving breaths into that low back, into the back side of the body. Last 2 breaths here. Walk yourself back up. We're going to finish in a seated position, so coming into any comfortable seat. Place your hands on your knees, roll your shoulders back, sit up nice and tall, close down your eyes, settle here. Take a nice big breath in through your nose. Release anything that you need to. And just noticing how you're feeling in your body right now. It's really taking the time to thank yourself for coming onto your mat today, for letting go of any expectation of what your flexibility should look like or feel like, and just allowing it to be as it is. And being okay with wherever you are in your journey. Thank you everyone for practicing today, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3 of this Spring into Yoga challenge. Namaste.